being a business owner and an entrepreneur. You don't have like a linear growth curve as a business owner and entrepreneur. It usually looks like this, and then boom.
Yeah.
It usually compounds over time, and that's also the beauty of being an entrepreneur, because all of your efforts at one point it will explode your business growth. I first started to invest really heavily into Twitter and network and everything. Every single time that I met somebody, I was always thinking, how can I give value to this person? I hate being in a room where I have the feeling of being average or being great, because then I'm in the wrong room. Sometimes you have to individualize into the situation or whatever. But it was always that we could switch up the copywriting on a landing page and we would instantly see an uplift or a decrease in sales, for example, right?
Right.
So for me, it was like, I can apply psychology. I can understand how the customer's thinking, like what the emotional stages and what thought process the prospect is going through. And then I can kind of tweak some things on the funnel, on the landing page, and then it would have an like measurable instant effect on their behavior. And for me, that was like really exciting.
Yeah, when you put it that way, it makes it sound so much more interesting than if you just say like conversion rate optimization. Like, that's very interesting, man. Super interesting.
For me, it's more about understanding the consumer psychology side of things, and then based on that, do the tweaks. It's not like on Google, I type in 15 CRO hacks, and then I just put a lot of payment providers and trust badges and guarantees on my page. Much deeper than that. And so like that's where I am today. So we run an agency with a team of 35 people now. We work with 8-figure brands, 8-figure D2C brands, most of them in like health, beauty, and fashion. And yeah, that's what I do now.
Beautiful.
So
dude,
like
that is the full journey, man. That was perfect. I usually love asking people about their journey from the beginning, because you know, there's a lot of people that listen to these things and they're in a position where they're, you know, they don't really know exactly what their path could look like. So giving people a blueprint, especially something like what you just said, it's really interesting. First of all, I didn't know you were a reseller. That's pretty funny. I feel like that's an interesting thing. And then the psychology background, man, I didn't know that. I used to want to be a psychologist as well in high school, but the reason why I didn't pursue that was because I didn't feel like I could be free and like make enough money to actually do what I wanted to do. But you were able to figure out a way to apply that passion and be able to make a ton of money through it by creating this agency. So that's incredible. Now, let me ask you a technical question then, now that we've hopped forward all the way to the current stage of your journey. So you have a pretty wide network at this point, right? So how were you able to get connected to some of these companies and people that you've met?
Question. One thing that I want to say, because you mentioned it, and I think you made a really great point, is that we only can connect the points looking backward, right? Like I cannot tell the future. I can only now look at the past and connect the dots. And what I also found interviewing another good entrepreneurial friend of mine is that, like, as an entrepreneur, you always keep iterating, and from like business venture to business venture, you like slowly move to the one that's perfect for you. So for everybody that's starting out, if it's like it doesn't feel 100%, or if you think there's still some potential, just give it time and just be patient, and you will find like the way that's perfect for you. So I just wanted to quickly mention that. Secondly, can you quickly remind me? I lost it.
Oh yeah, no, you're good.
Because I wanted to touch that point.
Yeah, that was a really good point. That was very well said. I basically asked, you know, now you're at this point in your career where you are working with 8-figure brands. How were you able to develop that sort of network to get you to that place?
Great question. So I'm a strong believer of giving and then taking. So always providing value first. So what we used to do, and this really shows like the compounding effect of being a business owner and an entrepreneur. You don't have like a linear growth curve as a business owner and entrepreneur. It usually looks like this, and then boom.
Yeah.
It usually compounds over time. And that's also the beauty of being an entrepreneur, because all of your efforts at one point, it will explode your business growth. So what happened was that for us, like 1.5 years, we just used to be behind the screens, just working, right? We were in some Facebook groups, we were on LinkedIn, we did some outreach, but we didn't really do a lot of stuff, right? So we just focused on like getting results and getting case studies and like learning and applying and iterating. And then only beginning of this year, we started going more outwards, right? So we started doing the first public speaking gigs. I first started to invest really heavily into Twitter and network and everything. And every single time that I met somebody, I was always thinking, how can I give value to this person, right? Because where you really build a meaningful connection, right? I'm not going to you and I'm saying, hey, Arie, can you show me how to build a dropshipping store? And then afterwards, I would just go away, right? I would think about something of how I could provide value to you, even if I was like a completely beginner stage, right? I was always thinking, what's interesting for this person right now? Maybe it's just that for the next 30 minutes, you can give them like a beautiful time and make them feel good, right? Like the power of emotions, because afterwards, we will only remember how somebody made us feel and not exactly like what we spoke about, right?
Right.
Like when you had an evening with your friends, it's not that you will go home and you said, oh, we talked about XYZ. It's rather like we were laughing all the time or something. So that's what I always had in mind when connecting with new people, always going value first. And then always focus on putting yourself in a room where you are the loser, right? Where you are like the smallest person, because only then you can learn and you can grow. I hate being in a room where I have the feeling of being average or being great, because then I'm in the wrong room, right?
Right.
So it's really uncomfortable, and I've been doing this for ages and ages and ages. But if you always put yourself into a new social group or like a new room, so to say, it's really uncomfortable, but it will go a long, long way.